You stoked about AI? Because I'm really stoked about it. I wrote my thesis on AI, on syntactic pattern recognition. How to analyze waveforms, patterns of waveforms, to see if AI could be used as a substitute for digital signal processing, the type of chips that all computers use today. That was 30 years ago. Look at today, where AI is everywhere. Everyone's talking about AI. Even Tim Pool is talking about AI. And that gives me a really, really warm fuzzy about it. Makes me feel good that everyone's talking about it. But like always, people aren't talking about the ecosystem the latest and greatest is a part of. AI is part of an ecosystem. And this ecosystem has been around for quite a while, and AI has been a part of it for quite a while. But you wouldn't notice that, because every time people talk about the ecosystem, they bias it, they slant it according to the technology that they want to advocate, promote, sell. And AI is just the latest iteration. This ecosystem is data-based. Lots and lots of data involved in the ecosystem. It's made up of things like business intelligence, analytics, artificial intelligence, like lots and lots of data, but at its central core are rules. Rules on how people do things, how people think, what people assume. Those are the core to the ecosystem, because that core dictates how all the other parts of the ecosystem are tailored, set up, and how they interact with each other in terms of how they change things. Like analytics, that will change AI in terms of what data it has and what models it uses. AI will change business intelligence. It'll change the nature of the data. It will change analytics. Everybody is changing everything. But at its core, the Lord and Master of the ecosystem are those rules, because rules are the secret sauce. Everything else you can get off the shelf, but those are rules you developed that are from a reflection of your culture. The people that worked at your company, how you do things, they are the secret sauce. They are what make you special. They are your competitive advantage. And people aren't talking about the rules. They're not talking about how AI needs to change to meet those rules, to jive with those rules. When people are using AI to generate courses or images or things like that, they manufacture something that looks right. But if you don't know what those rules are on how to make something beautiful or how to make something work, what the AI produces is very vanilla, and it will crash and burn. When anytime you add something to the ecosystem, you have to tailor it to the rules of that ecosystem. And sometimes the rules don't jive. Sometimes it's time to change the rules. There's nothing wrong with that. But the rules always remain to be the Lord and Master. They drive everything. They drive how things change in the ecosystem. They drive how things change in companies, in the culture. These rules. So these rules are really a central core. This ecosystem has been talked about for generations. Really for generations. The latest one was about big data, the big data ecosystem. And before that, it was things with analytics. And before that, it was things with business intelligence and data management. But always the nature of this ecosystem, this data ecosystem. Not much during its history did they talk about how these rules drove everything. They touched on it with rule engines a while back, and having rule engines to be consolidated into a central place where rules were all consolidated with the rule engine. But like any technology, people moved on to the next great big thing, and they sort of forgot that rule engines were part of the ecosystem. Your takeaway? Anytime you talk about AI, you talk about the ecosystem of AI. And the Lord and Master of that ecosystem, the rules. Because if you don't do that and just talk about AI, people are going to think of AI as its own thing. They'll just optimize AI, they will just use AI, and they will make mistakes with AI. AI always needs to jive by the rules. Even what AI produces needs to jive by the rules too. Right now, I see marketing images being pumped out that don't really look nice. I see course materials being pumped out by training houses that don't look quite right, that they are missing that secret sauce, those key ideas. Even with tools where it involves hybrid models, developing hybrid models and approaches and solutions for that, it doesn't look quite right. Things are quite a little bit off. And you wouldn't know that unless you knew the rules of the discipline, of the field, of the business. You just wouldn't know. This means the customer, the client, the end customer and client, they don't know either. So we better know our rules because we're going to have to communicate it to those guys. Because if we don't, they're going to make all their decisions on price alone. And they are not going to have the opportunity to have good products and services. And this is going to be an overwhelming challenge because everyone is using generative AI right now. And it's going to raise the bar for everything. So be prepared to know the rules. Be prepared to learn salesmanship. And tell the customers what your secret sauce is and why they should buy from you.